Once the crown jewel of global tech, Apple reigned supreme even in China. During the iPhone 6 era, demand outpaced supply, with crowds lining up outside stores. But today, the crowds are thinning, and Apple's grip on the world's largest phone market is slipping. The company that once defined innovation now faces rising competition, shifting loyalties, and a question it has never faced before. What went wrong? China's market is not only massive, it is strategic. Apple's decline here signals more than lost sales. It represents relevance, identity, and power. For a brand built on control, losing momentum in China reflects a deeper struggle. New players are rising quickly, not copying Apple but surpassing it. The world is watching this shift closely. For Apple, this may be the beginning of something far more serious. In 2018, the US launched a trade war with China, placing tariffs on hundreds of goods. Apple was caught in the middle. Then came the real blow. Huawei was blacklisted in 2019, cut off from Google services, chips, and software. China viewed this not just as punishment, but as a wake-up call. It began driving hard to build local tech power, and foreign firms felt the chill. As COVID lockdowns and supply chain chaos hit, China doubled down on its strategy. Support local giants, reduce foreign reliance, and secure digital sovereignty. Apple, once a symbol of prestige, was now seen as vulnerable and foreign. Between 2015 and 2020, Apple's China revenue dropped by $18 billion. The message was clear. China was not only defending itself, it was building its own future quickly and decisively. Despite US sanctions, Huawei returned swinging. In 2023, it launched the Mate 60 Pro, powered by a 7-nanometer chip built in China. It wasn't just a phone. It was a message. Chinese tech could rise without Western parts. Harmony OS, developed outside Android and iOS, spread quickly across devices. It was more than an alternative. It became a symbol of national pride and self-reliance in technology. Apple, meanwhile, stayed the course, polished, premium, but predictable. In a country where bold progress is celebrated, Apple's safe moves felt like stagnation. Huawei didn't just win on specs, it won on story. Its comeback became a symbol of independence. Consumers weren't only buying phones, they were supporting their own. And in that cultural shift, Apple, once untouchable, began to look replaceable in the eyes of China's rising generation. While Apple refined notch sizes and camera bumps, Chinese brands went bold. Xiaomi, Huawei, and Oppo launched phones with 100-watt charging, periscope lenses, foldable displays, even satellite links. Features once futuristic became standard. These weren't gimmicks. They solved real needs: instant power, creative tools, deep ties to local apps. And they arrived quickly, not in years, but in months, reshaping what consumers expected from a phone. Apple stuck to what worked, but that caution carried a price. In a culture that rewards agility, iPhones began to feel behind. Consumers started asking, why wait for Apple when others already deliver? Innovation wasn't only moving faster, it was moving differently. And in China's fiercely competitive market, staying the same meant falling behind. Safety looked less like strength and more like slow decline. In 2017, the iPhone X changed everything. But by 2023, netizens in China were unimpressed. Same phone, new name, they joked. iPhones 12 through 15 looked nearly identical, with only minor camera bumps and chip upgrades. The word innovation began to feel like marketing spin. On tech forums, Apple slipped from admired to tolerated. Excitement had shifted to brands willing to experiment, not play safe. It wasn't just Huawei. Samsung, Xiaomi, and even Meta pushed limits in AI, mixed reality, and design. Apple still carried status, but prestige without progress proved fragile. Young buyers wanted new experiences, not recycled devices. And in China, where digital trends shift overnight, Apple's slow, careful steps seemed outdated. A company that once set the pace was suddenly struggling just to keep up with rivals. Apple isn't finished. It still holds global loyalty, sleek design, and a polished ecosystem. Services like iCloud, Apple Music, and Apple TV Plus keep expanding. The Vision Pro hints at another leap in spatial computing, blending virtual with real. When Apple moves, the world often follows. Yet Apple's real strength has always come from redefining the future, shaping what's next, not chasing to catch up with others. To stay relevant, Apple must evolve. That means practical AI tools, smarter on-device intelligence, and bold new hardware. Executed the Apple way, smooth, secure, and simple. In China, it may also mean rebuilding trust, partnering locally, and showing cultural fluency. Globally, Apple has unmatched reach, but it must prove it still has the edge. Because loyalty fades when innovation slows, and in tech, memory is short. Across the world, AI is transforming how people search, work, and create. Google, Microsoft, and China's tech leaders push forward rapidly. Yet Apple's most visible AI tool remains Siri, slow, scripted, and outdated. Consumers notice the gap. In an era where assistants write emails and design images, Apple's voice tool struggles with reminders. The difference is no longer small. It's visible in daily life, and users feel it. For Apple to lead again, the AI gap must close quickly. Privacy is its strength, but security alone means little if the tools fall behind. Rivals are embedding AI into maps, shopping, and the everyday apps. Apple must shift from reaction to reinvention. Tomorrow's users won't just buy devices. They will buy intelligence. And right now, Apple is not offering what the new generation demands. Apple's slowdown in China is more than a business issue. It's a warning. A giant once leading the world now struggles with its core promises: innovation, identity, and influence. China isn't waiting. Its brands are building fast, learning quickly, and winning loyalty. For Apple, the danger is bigger than competition. It is becoming irrelevant in the very markets that once crowned it king. There is still time. Apple holds the talent, the capital, and the trust of millions. But to remain on top, it must move faster, bolder, and smarter. The era of prestige without progress is over. In this world, survival depends on execution. The world is watching. And in China, the question isn't whether Apple was great. It's whether greatness still matters today.